Buy a $500,000 home in Toronto and you hand over about $12,950 in land transfer tax at closing, in cash, before you even get the keys, according to City of Toronto rates and standard LTT calculators. That's roughly double what a buyer in Mississauga pays for the exact same priced home. I read the fine print so you don't have to, and today I'll show you exactly how Toronto quietly charges this tax twice, and who really ends up paying it. The simple version: in Ontario, the buyer, not the seller, pays a land transfer tax on the full purchase price, per the province's own rules. But Toronto goes further. Under powers from the City of Toronto Act, it layers a full municipal land transfer tax on top of the provincial one, making it the only municipality in all of Canada to do this. So inside city limits, you pay the same tax twice. Here's the first thing most buyers get wrong: the tax is charged on the full purchase price, not on your down payment, per Ontario's land transfer tax rules. The rate climbs in brackets: 0.5% on the first $55,000, 1.0% up to $250,000, 1.5% up to $400,000, and 2.0% on the slice between $400,001 and $2,000. Think of it like a cover charge based on the full price of the house, not the deposit you walk in with. Now the second layer, Toronto's municipal land transfer tax uses matching brackets to the province, so the whole calculation simply runs twice. This isn't my interpretation. The city's own budget documents say the municipal tax is charged at matching rates, hence double the rate paid in all other municipalities in Ontario. Think of it like paying HST, and then a second identical HST that only exists inside that one city's limits. Let's make it concrete. On a $500,000 home outside Toronto, the Ontario land transfer tax alone is about $6,175, according to standard LTT calculators. Move that same home inside Toronto and you pay roughly $6,475 provincial plus $6,475 municipal, about $12,950 total. That's a 100% increase, around $6,475 extra for the identical property. Think of it like buying the same coffee across the street and being charged twice. Same cup, same price, double the tax. Because the tax scales with price, move-up buyers feel this most. On a $1,300,000 Toronto home, the total land transfer tax before any rebates is about $32,950, roughly $16,475 provincial and $16,475 municipal. A comparable home in the 905 would face only the provincial side, around $16,475, so Toronto's double structure costs that buyer an extra $16,475. Think of it like a percentage-based toll. The pricier the trip, the more the double charge stings. At the top end, it gets steeper still. Since 2023 and 2024, Toronto has applied luxury municipal brackets on amounts above $3,000, with marginal rates from 4.4% up to 8.6%, per city schedules. And because the provincial tax is still charged on that same slice, the combined marginal rate is effectively roughly double the municipal figure. Think of it like a progressive surtax on the top floor of the building. The higher you buy, the steeper each step costs. If you're finding this useful, subscribe. The next breakdown is already coming. Here's the part that catches people off guard. This tax is due in cash on closing day, before you get possession, and it can't be rolled into your mortgage. So it hits the same savings you're relying on for the down payment. Think of it like a mandatory tip you have to pay in cash the moment you sit down. It can't just go on the tab with everything else. Before I get to the last part, which is the most counterintuitive piece of this, here's the catch the brochure glosses over. First-time buyers can claim up to $4,000 back on the provincial tax, and up to $4,475 on the Toronto municipal tax, a maximum combined $8,475. But on an $800,000 condo with about $24,950 in total tax, that only trims it to roughly $16,475. Think of it like a coupon for a fixed dollar amount. Helpful, but it barely dents a bill that keeps growing with the home's price. And here's the most counterintuitive piece. The true cost isn't the $12,475 in extra municipal tax on that $800,000 condo. It's the growth you never get. As a modeled illustration only, if that same amount were invested at a 4% annual return over 33 years, it projects to around $46,400. Across 2 Toronto purchases over a career, the combined double tax and its lost growth can plausibly reach the $60,000 to $90,000 range. Think of it like a seed you're forced to hand over instead of plant. You don't just lose the seed, you lose the tree. So what does this mean for you? Before you make an offer, run an Ontario land transfer tax calculator with Toronto selected, then run it again for a 905 city like Mississauga or Vaughan. On a $500,000 home, that gap is about $6,175, and on a $1.3 million home, it's roughly $16,475. Knowing that number to the dollar lets you factor it into your budget, your offer, and even your choice of neighborhood. If you're moving up, the trap is planning your down payment and forgetting a 5-figure tax due in cash the same day. Make sure your lawyer applies both the provincial and municipal first-time rebates if you qualify, and build a closing budget that explicitly includes provincial tax, Toronto's municipal tax, and a buffer. The goal is simple. You should never be forced to drain an RRSP or take on high-interest debt just to cover a tax bill you could have seen coming. Toronto's double land transfer tax is one of those buried rules that quietly costs buyers tens of thousands over a lifetime. Now you know exactly how it works and who pays it. Next, I'm breaking down the RRSP home buyer's plan and how much it really saves a first-time buyer once the tax is factored in. Subscribe so you don't miss it.